Today we are learning average price method of inventory valuation. Average price method of inventory valuation is a very simple approach. Okay, so for computing the value of stock, what you need to do, all different prices are to be added together and divided by number of units, okay, to get the average price, and then the closing stock is to be valued according to whatever average price is ascertained. Okay, so we will see an example for average price method, and there are two ways of calculating average price. One is if you maintain a day-to-day stock register, then the average price will change after each and every purchase. Okay, whereas the second approach is whatever are the total purchases, you have to add the total amount of purchase, divide by number of units, and you can derive at a one single average price. Okay, it depends on the volume of your business and the maintenance of records. Let's see one example now. So this is one example. A manufacturer has a following record of purchases of condenser which he uses while manufacturing radio sets. So purchase of condensers, so it is a purchase of raw material. Then the details of all purchases are given: date, quantity, units, and price per units. And subsequently all details of issues are also given. Now if you notice, this is the same example which we had considered in our FIFO and LIFO method. So we took the same example because it's easy for our comparison. Okay, so that is the reason we took the same example. Now let's start by calculating average price. Okay, average price method, stock as per average price method. So we have prepared one format of statement showing valuation of inventory as per average price method. You have date, receipts, issues, and balance. Okay, so you can see here you have the quantity, rate, amount in all the three columns. Now first transaction, December 9. So we'll put the first transaction. I'm sorry, it's December 4. Okay, 900 units are purchased. And what is the rate? 5 rupees. So 900 into 5. So the amount comes to 4,500. There are no issues on this day, so issues will be nil, and the balance is 900 into 5 since this is a first purchase, 4,500. Now we will see the next transaction. Next transaction is December 5. There is issue of 600 quantity. So December 5, no receipts, issue of 600 quantities. Now the rate of the 600 will be 5. Okay, since there was only one purchase before this, the same rate which is there in the closing stock balance will apply it here. So that comes to 3,000, and the balance stock is 300 into 5, that comes to 1,500. Now the next transaction. Next transaction is on December 10. Okay, so we have purchase of 400 units at 5.5, so that comes to 5.5 into 400, so 2,200. So there are no issues on this day, so issues will be nil. Now we calculate the average stock. So average stock will be 1,500, that is stock as on December 5, plus 2,200 divided by 300 plus 400. So in short, we are calculating the weighted average plus 400. Okay, so that comes to 3,700 divide by 700. So our rate is 5.28 average rate. Okay, so we'll put it in our stock register. 700 into 5.28, 3700. We can round off it to 2 digits or 4 digits. Okay, now the next transaction is December 11, 300 purchase. So we'll put it December 11, 300 at the rate of 5.5 again. So amount comes to 1650. Now there are no issues, so it will be nil. Now again we will calculate the weighted average. Okay, so it will be 3700 plus 1650 divided by 700 plus 300. $700 plus 300. Okay, so again we are calculating weighted average here. So now this comes to how much? 3700 5350 divided by 1000. So our average rate comes to 5.35. Correct? So 1000 into 5.35. So that gives us 5350. Now the next transaction. Next transaction is what? December 11. Then you have December 12. There are some issues. Okay, so December 12. There are some issues of 400. Now for this 400, the average rate we will take is 5.35. Okay, so 5.35. That comes to 2140. Then the balance stock is 1000 minus 400, so 600 into 5.35. That comes to how much? 3210. Okay, now the next transaction, December 12. Then you have December 19, 200 units purchased and unit rate is 6 rupees. Okay, so December 19, 200 unit into 6, 1200. Now there are no issues on December 19, so it will be nil. Now the average stock will be again the weighted average, so 3210 plus 1200 divided by 600 plus 200. So that comes to how much? 104410. Correct? 4410 divided by 800. So the rate comes to 5.51. So we'll put it in our stock register. 800 units into 5.51. That comes to 4410. Now the next transaction. Next transaction is on December 28. 800 unit purchase at 4.75. So December 28, 800 unit purchased at 4.75. That comes to 3800. 4.75 into 800. So there are no issues on this day. So for purpose of closing stock, again we'll find out what is the weighted average. 4410, I'll calculate it here. 4410 plus 3800 divide by 800 plus 800. Okay, so that comes to 8210 divided by 1600. So the rate is 5.13. I am rounding off it to 2 digits. You may round it off to 4 digits also for more accuracy. 5.13 and the amount is 8210. Now the next transaction, December 29, there is issue of 600. So December 29, issue of 600, rate will be 5.13 as we have taken earlier. So 600 into 5.13, it is 3078. There may be some rounding of differences. Okay, so the stock is 1000 into 5.13, that comes to 5130. So instead of 5130, you can take it as 5132 if you are rounding it off to the 4 digit. So this is the way you calculate the average stock, okay, as per average price method. So basically what you do is for each and every purchase you find a weighted average price, and then accordingly at that weighted average rate whatever is derived, you have issues at that rate, and then subsequently the stock is nothing but the remaining quantity into weighted average rate. So that will give you the amount of stock. Now we'll see what are the other ways of calculating price as per average price method, that is when we are not preparing our stock register. Okay, now let's see one more method of calculating the average price. Okay, we are taking the same example, and then here the calculate the value of closing stock as per average. Now here we can calculate it as per simple average also. Instead of this, what we can do, we can calculate it as per simple average. So as per simple average, the price will be, we'll add up all purchases, 5.5 plus 5.5 plus 6 plus 4.75 divided by 5. So that comes to 26.75 divided by 5. So 5.35. But simple average is not very logical because there are different quantity of units that are purchased at a different time. So the more logical way will be to calculate the weighted average. So how do we calculate the weighted average? Quantity units, then rate, amount. Okay, now we have the quantity here, quantity, rate and amount, correct? We have it here. I'll just copy and paste it. Okay, so quantity, we have quantity, rate, amount. Amount will calculate it here. Amount. Okay, so this is rate, then this is quantity, and this is date. Okay, so what now? 900 into 5, that is 4500. 400 into 5.5, that is 2200. Then 300 into 5.5, 1650. 200 into 6, 1200. And 800 into 4.75, 3800. So the total of this comes to 13350. and what is the total of this? It comes to 2600 quantity, right? So the weighted average is 13350 divided by 2600, so that comes to 5.135. okay, now if you see using stock register, the amount that we got is also 5.132, so there is some rounding of difference. So if you calculate it by weighted average method, your amount will be more or less equal to the method where calculated using your stock register. So weighted average method is more appropriate as compared to simple average. So that's it about average price method of stock valuation. Thank you.